You did mention, though, somebody who's dazzling, who might eat into that receiving workload for Clyde Edwards-Helaire is Jerick McKinnon. He's one of your risers in your article. And again, I want to emphasize to listeners, The Athletic, awesome coverage from Nate, all the training camp coverage for everybody, really. I just love The Athletic. You guys are incredible.
Thank you.
If anybody hasn't subscribed that's listening to here,
Please do.
Hey, please do. It really is.
Please
Is there
do.
any promo code for you, by the way? I don't know if they have like an athletic code that you have that they can throw in to give you some credit, but man, it's great. And your coverage has been fantastic. You wrote an awesome one about risers and fallers, and you mentioned Jerick McKinnon, as you said earlier, dazzling in camp. What have you seen so far? Why is he dazzling, and how involved do you really think he could be?
Yeah, I know there's concerns with Jerick McKinnon because he's had some knee injury problems, and that's always a thing to make, fantasy owners hesitate when you're talking about a running back and someone that can be used in multiple ways. But as you mentioned before, Andy Reid is so good about using running backs. And, there's been times where the Chiefs have wanted really two running backs to sort of play off of. They tried it 2 years ago with LaShawn McCoy to some success early, but that sort of fizzled out. They did get LaShawn, they got Le'Veon Bell last year. They got him in the middle of last year. He had some moments. By the way, they were running pitch options to Le'Veon Bell in the red zone. And again, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was not getting those touchdowns. There's like 10 plays I can think of where it's like, a jet sweep to Tyreek Hill in the red zone just because we can. Just because we can. A little pitch option to Le'Veon Bell just because we could. A little underneath pass to Travis Kelce to Anthony Sherman just because we could.
Why not? Right?
And again,
this third string tackle, why don't we throw him a touchdown? Let's make him an eligible receiver and just not Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Anyone but Helaire was kind of the moral of the story.
I mean, the Baltimore Ravens were like, we got to key in on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And it's like, here's a touchdown to Anthony Sherman. Here's a touchdown to Eric Fisher. What a game. But there are times where I can see similar things happening maybe with Jerick McKinnon because the burst is back. That's been the most impressive thing. He looks great in space. You always knew he was a little shifty to make a defender miss in the open field. That's occurred a couple times in practice. And so he's picked up the offense faster than maybe most veterans coming in for the first time in an Andy Reid system because anybody will tell you it's so hard to learn Andy Reid's playbook because there are so many plays and there's so many concepts and there's so many I don't understand why this matters now, coach, because it's, August 5th, but it'll make sense in November when we've ran it a couple times in practice. We've seen what this is going to look like on film based on the tendencies. And guess what? It's going to work because we did it all the way back on August 5th. So there are chances for McKinnon to have some real success, particularly in short yardage, weirdly, because the Chiefs, as we've mentioned before, they like to get really creative. They like to get tricky against offenses. And look, Jerick McKinnon was a former quarterback in high school. The Chiefs ran some wildcat, particularly in 2019, that I think is going to make its way back in 2021. The Chiefs will never run a quarterback sneak ever again, Nick, in Patrick Mahomes' career. All right. Everybody knows 2019, he had the dislocated kneecap on a quarterback sneak. They've never ran it since.
Yep.
So Jerick McKinnon could be the wildcat quarterback this year. If your fantasy league cares about first downs, he may be someone that matters to you, particularly in the short yardage standpoint, if they're going to give Clyde Edwards-Helaire a breather, just because weirdly enough, I think McKinnon runs with a little more power, where obviously there's so much grace and just footwork excellence from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But again, he's not that big guy that you're just going to run between the tackles and then you're going to get 4 or 5 yards on. So McKinnon, in a weird way, kind of fits that role right now alongside Darrell Williams. And whenever Patrick Mahomes is throwing the ball to Jerick McKinnon, whether it's been high, whether it's been low, the guy's made the catch. So there's some real reliability and trust with his hands. And you know this as well as I do, Nick. When Andy Reid decides that this is a game where we're going to use the screen pass, good luck, because the running back all of a sudden, if the offensive line works properly, is going to have some plays in space. And so the Chiefs didn't run a lot of screens last year, but I could see that making a return, particularly in these two tight end sets as well, where there's play action. Hey, make it look this way. Here's a screen pass. All of a sudden, Jerick McKinnon's got 3 of his blocking friends in front of him for a 15, 20-yard gain. So I know I've given our listeners a lot, but there's a case to be made for all of these guys just because the playbook's there, the quarterback's there. The continuity is there based on a lot of these guys from the skill position, coming together. And Jerick McKinnon, whether I look back at, previous veteran running backs in the past, and again, that's LaShawn McCoy, that's Le'Veon Bell. Yes, I'm going to mention Carlos Hyde, who couldn't even make it out of training camp before he got traded to the Houston Texans because he just couldn't get the system down as fast as they wanted. McKinnon seems to be ahead of all those guys in terms of how many days he's had to get with the team. Obviously, having a traditional training camp helps a veteran his sort. And so he should be ready to go week one, comparable to other guys in the past who sort of had to, ease into this thing, and you sort of see their numbers rise in October. The question, of course, is, can McKinnon stay healthy? Can he be great in week one, or someone that you can be stable, be steady with? And can that, be a nice steady line of statistical production over the course of a 17-game season?
Very intriguing indeed, though. An offense like this, you want as many pieces as you can get. So I know, as you said, we've given them a lot, but this is an offense you want a lot of. And McKinnon going undrafted in most drafts at this point, but could have a very meaningful role in the backfield. The reason it may be a little bit lower on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it all makes sense, unfortunately, for Hilaire's stock, but McKinnon could be a great sleeper himself. Yes. I know I saw like Andy Reid was shouting him out already as a playmaker. Mahomes called him a playmaker. Andy Reid was like, his speed, his pass catching is great. So he's got the endorsements of the two most important people. As you're saying, he's looked great in camp. Very intriguing sleeper for our listeners to definitely pay attention to. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.